Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, and today we're going to be talking to a fourth-generation executive at a family company that you might not know what they do, but I bet you've seen their trucks. Sid Wainer and Company. They do all things food, not all things, but a lot of things food for a lot of different places. And we're going to talk about all their success and what they're doing down in New Bedford these days. And to talk about that with me, I want to welcome Allie Wainer. She is Executive Vice President of Sid Wainer and Company, fourth generation, as I said, in her family to join the family business there. Allie, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start off, as I said, your trucks are pretty famous. People see them going all over if they live around this part of the country. But people might not know exactly what your business is at Sid Wainer, except that it's something to do with food. So tell us, what do you do at Sid Wainer?
So we are a specialty produce and specialty food distributor. We source food from all over the world as well as a lot of local farms. We work with over 100 local farms, and we distribute food from the Canadian border to DC on our trucks, and then we ship nationwide everywhere else. We send food to Bermuda, the Virgin Islands, Europe, so we're kind of all over the place now, which is really exciting. So we focus on sourcing the best quality food from all over the world.
And you are known, as I understand it, in particular for sort of, I might say fancy food, or at least, really good, sometimes high-end. I'm sure a lot of high-end restaurants in your client base, and you have to find sometimes funkier foods, right? Things that are a little rarer than you might find at Stop and Shop.
Yes, chefs come to us for the most unique things. They're always trying to find the most creative ways to inspire their menus. So they'll call to our chefs. We have 50 chefs trained on board that are our sales reps, and they develop menus with customers all over the world. So they're always looking for something unique, so it's our job to find it for them.
So your sales reps are chefs?
They are.
Has it always been that way?
Yes.
And why is that important?
They know how to talk to our customers. They understand what they're going through, and they love food. So who else to talk to our customers, right?
Now, how big an operation is it? How many employees do you have in New Bedford? You're down near the waterfront, right? Yes,
we have around 500 employees now, growing every day.
Yeah, all the time, I'm sure. And as for customers, your website says it's quite a number, over 30,000 restaurants, hotels, gourmet shops, retailers, caterers. What would be sort of a typical, I know you can't usually disclose exactly who the customers are, but what would be sort of a typical example of a kind of Sid Wainer customer, someone who uses your food?
Sure. So we sell food to the elementary schools and then also the white tablecloth restaurants, airlines. We work with cruise ships. Really anyone who's looking for high quality food.
All over the place.
All over.
And you were talking about how far away you distribute. What's the furthest place right now that you send the food?
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
Sometimes, we sell back to Japan. We distribute some of their product, and my dad created two ingredients in particular, wasabi oil and a ginger vinegar, and they buy it back from us because they like the creation so much.
So are these always people who, if you think of a restaurant, they consistently need maybe the same or roughly the same amount of certain foods week to week, day to day for their clients. Are most of your businesses like that a consistent order, or do you have people who might call you up, say Abu Dhabi, and say, we're making this special thing and we think you have it, just get that to us one time?
Yes, it varies day to day. You never know who's going to call. Restaurants, they're very seasonal as well, so you can kind of see a pattern, but some days they'll have a huge party and some days they won't have anything going on, so it'll be closed on a Monday, so you never really know who's going to call it. That's the exciting part of it.
So walk us through a day at the warehouse. You guys always say it's a 24/7 business at Sid Wainer. What's sort of the rhythm of the place to get the food in, get the food out?
Sure. We never close. We're open 24/7. We shut down for half a day, 3 days a year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. So
only half a day?
Only half a day because you have to get the orders out for the next day. So we're receiving 24/7. We have product coming in from all over the world. We have trucks coming from California, so you never know when they're going to show up because weather permitting, they're on time. So we're receiving 24 hours a day. The product comes in the warehouse. It's inspected. Some of our receivers have been with us over 27 years, so they know exactly what to look for, what to make sure that the product is the best quality. We have USDA inspectors in all the time. We have an amazing food safety program. We have an entire quality assurance team that is on top of it. We're going for our SQF certification, which is the highest level of certification you can get for food safety. So that's a big part of our everyday, making sure that the food is safe, which is a huge part of the industry now. The product's received, and then our sales reps are on the phones all day planning menus. We have sales reps on the road as well, our chefs on the road, meeting with customers, tasting products. There's a lot going on every day, and then the product is packed and shipped overnight. So they're working all night. That's probably our busiest time of the day.
What are the shifts for the overnight folks? When do they get in? When are they filling the trucks?
It varies. They could be there from 7 a.m. till 2 a.m. or they're leaving at 6 a.m. We try to have all the trucks out by 6 a.m., but then they're going out all day long because we'll always bring something to the customer if they need it.
Are you getting calls from restaurants that say, I've decided tonight's special or tomorrow night's special is going to be XYZ, can you send extra of that? Or do you need more lead time usually to plan what you're going to send out?
We send product out an hour after they've ordered it. If they're in that proximity, we can get it to them. So we don't have any cutoffs or minimums. We're delivering 24/7.
That is interesting. How do you keep track? I mean, you see there have been pieces done on Amazon and their warehouses and the levels they have to go to track the inventory, to manage everything. Is it that to that level for you guys too with your warehouse, the amount of foods, and even I'm sure down to like, it's not just mushrooms for you, it's all the different types of mushrooms and everything.
Yes, we have around 4,000 different items, and that changes every day. We're adding more and more every day. We're heading out to the Winter Fancy Food Show in San Francisco this weekend, where we're going to look for more products. So we have a very intense inventory system. We have a special team that manages it, and a lot of different softwares.
Software, so it's computerized and everything now, probably a lot different from when your great-grandfather started it.
Yes.
So you have a big expansion project underway. I want to talk about that. You held the ceremonial groundbreaking in November. Tell us about this new facility. I think we actually have a rendering we can show folks at home what it's going to look like. Tell us about the new facility. You see it there, what it's going to look like. What are you going to do in there, and why did you need it?
So we are adding on to our current facility. We're doubling the size of our warehouse. We outgrew our warehouse probably a few years ago, but this warehouse is going to add a lot more space, a lot more technology. We're putting in state-of-the-art facility, so everything is up to date and as efficient and safe as it can be. So we're really excited about this expansion. It means a lot to have it in New Bedford and to keep growing in that space. This is the third edition we've put on the building since my father took it over. So this is really maximizing our space and making sure that everything is perfect.
60,000 square feet, I read. It's a refrigerated produce storage and distribution facility. So will the whole thing be refrigerated, like walking into a refrigerator?
Yes.
People must be wearing heavy clothes then when they're going and spending their day there.
They do, but they're moving pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So.
I once worked in an ice cream shop, and you had to put on your heavy coat to go in and get the ice creams out. So what's your plan for when it will open, and do you plan to add jobs once this is open? Will it have any employment effects?
Yes, we will be adding jobs throughout the year. We've added around 17 in the last year, and we continue to add more and more, both in the warehouse and in our office as well. So we're hoping to have this expansion open by the end of the year, 2016. We're figuring out how to make it the best possible. So we will be continuing construction in March.
And one other thing before we go to a break, I think there's a green aspect to this, right? You're putting in some solar panels?
Yes, we're putting solar, and we're putting panels in the refrigeration so that it stores refrigeration much better, and we're putting state-of-the-art lights so that we are conserving energy as well.
Now, is that sort of a feel-good decision? You know, it's good to be green these days, or is that a business decision? It made sense for you as a company too.
It's a business decision, and it's to increase the sustainability in the environment and make sure that we are doing our part to make sure that we save energy.
All right, we're talking with Allie Wainer, fourth generation executive at Sid Wainer in New Bedford, and a big food supplier there. We're going to talk much more with her after the break about the history of the company and her family, and what's the latest trends in restaurants. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Now, welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. We are talking with Allie Wainer. She is the Executive Vice President, just got a promotion, congratulations on that, a few months back. Executive Vice President at Sid Wainer Sons, the big food distributors out of New Bedford. She's the fourth generation of her family to work at the company, and we're going to talk about that history in a second. But we were talking before the break about expansion plans, the big project you're having down there, Allie, in New Bedford. And, you know, we've seen a lot of companies that were founded maybe 102 years ago, like you were, have left this region, have much smaller operations here, have gone. You've really just expanded and expanded in New Bedford. Why has New Bedford been the right place for you, and have you ever considered leaving as a company?
We've never considered. We've had offers from other states to move into them or other locations, but New Bedford's really where our heart is and our home is. My great-grandfather started the company 102 years ago on the cobblestone streets downtown, and since then we've continued to expand in the area, so it's really important to us. It's important to my family. It's important to the region. It means a lot to have the New Bedford name on the trucks because it goes out everywhere.
That's right.
So we don't have any plans of leaving, and we really do think it's the best environment for us. We have such a great workforce there. It's a great location. It's very centrally located between three major cities, close to the islands and the Cape, where we service a lot of restaurants, a lot of retail shops and caterers. So we love New Bedford. We're not going anywhere.
Does it help you at all to be near New Bedford? I think is always one of the biggest ports for fish coming in. Is that helpful to you to have the fish be coming in right nearby your own warehouse?
It is. I mean, it brings a lot more to the city, and it's really important to the industrial work there. The city's alive down on the ports, and it feels nice to be there. I think it creates a certain energy for us as well.
So you've a lot of different food, a lot of different places, and you kind of talked about this, but give us a broader sense of the full transportation infrastructure you have in place, because you were saying to me before, you don't have other hubs, right? It's all has to get there from your New Bedford warehouse.
Everything comes out of New Bedford. We have trucks that we distribute to in other areas, but everything essentially located in New Bedford. So we put product on trucks starting at 1 a.m. and we go until midnight. So it's really a 24/7, just getting the product onto the trucks and making sure that the refrigeration the cold chain's not broken.
And you said, is Washington the furthest you go with a truck before you have to get on a plane?
Yes.
And you recently expanded to the West Coast. You announced that operations out there. Did that create any complications in all this, or is it just another leg of flying for you guys?
It's just another leg. My sister, Jamie, she's my older sister, she's in the business as well. So she's opening up operations on the West Coast. She was a trained chef and was in the back of the house, and I ran the front of a house of a restaurant. So we make a good team. So she's out on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast.
Did you ever fight, two sisters?
No.
No, that's good. All right, that's what your father will want to hear. And I want to talk about the history of the company, but one other quick thing I read when I was preparing for the show. You have a backup satellite phone system, is that correct?
Yes, we can't close. It's our 24/7 business, so we have to make sure our technology is up to date and backed up. Things happen, but it's important that we have the right resources to make sure that it doesn't affect our day-to-day business.
So if the cell phones go down, you have another way to get to your trucks?
Yes.
That is interesting. That's a commitment right there. So you said, Sid Wainer, you're now 102 years old. You mentioned the cobblestone streets and how your great-grandfather started, but tell us about the origins. What was he doing 102 years ago, and how did it grow into this nationally known company that it is today?
So 102 years ago, my great-grandfather, Henry Wainer, and his brother started Wainer Brothers, and they were distributing food to local restaurants and buying from local farms in the markets and selling to retail shops, and they had their own retail shop right on Union Street in New Bedford. So once my grandfather, Sid, came back from the war, he took over the business and changed the name to be Sid Wainer. And then when my father joined, it became Sid Wainer Sons. So my father really introduced the specialty business into it. He took over in the 70s, and first he went over to Martha's Vineyard and opened up Son of Sid's, where he learned to run the business by himself, and he worked with a lot of chefs there, and they were always looking for something unique to get to the island, so that really started the specialty business. And then when he married my mother, Marion, they traveled to Europe and found olives, and that was the first thing that my mother was very key on getting the product to New Bedford and selling it to our chefs. So that was the start of the specialty business. And since then, my father has been traveling and searching for product, and we travel with him as well. And we've begun relationships with families that I've known for my entire life. I know their kids. I know
food-making families, right?
Food-making families, our producers all over the world. We've stayed with them. They're part of our family as well. So that's really where the company is now, and we continue to bring it into the future. I've begun working with our suppliers' children, which is a lot of fun.
So the children of the suppliers and the children of the distributor. That's funny. The one history of the company mentioned that the 90s and early 2000s were a big period of growth. You added a lot more trucks. What was going on in that period that really took off for Sid Wainer?
My father was going out and selling.
Yeah.
He knows our product better than anyone else, and he's very, very passionate about the industry. And he really took it to the next level in the 80s and 90s. And he would walk into chefs' kitchens and not be afraid to be thrown out, or really, he's formed relationships with chefs all over the country, and that really started to happen in the 80s and 90s. And he listened to them, and he found out what their needs were, and then he would go out and find products that he thought they would enjoy. He brought the first baby vegetables to New England, and organic. He's part of the organic movement coming from California. He really put an emphasis on specialty products and quality products, and making sure that the producer is the best in the world of each product that we supply.
It sounds like personal relationships are kind of at the heart of a lot of the success you folks have had. Well, on the other side, whether it's the suppliers or the restaurants or everything, they want to know there's a sort of a person on the other end of the phone with the crucial ingredients they need.
It's all about relationships.
Yeah, like most businesses in some ways, I suppose. All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Allie Wainer about the future of Sid Wainer and Sons and the food economy in Southern New England. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we are talking today with Allie Wainer. She is the Executive Vice President of Sid Wainer and Sons, the fourth generation in her family to be a part of the famous food distributor company out of New Bedford. And her father is actually the current owner and president, I believe. Is that his title? President. And so I've got to ask, we have family businesses on now and then, and the question always is, will there be another generation? Clearly, in this case, there is. Your sister's involved, as are you. How big a role has the company played just in your life since you were growing up?
It's been a huge part of our life. It's something you can be passionate about, and it's easy to love because it's food, and who doesn't love food? So it's always been a topic of conversation at our dinner table. I kind of always had a feeling I'd go into the business, but I explored things before I joined, just so I was 100% sure, and I was, and I love it, and I'm a lifer now.
I was going to ask, what are the upsides are pretty clear. You have an in, so you'll be able to to really see the inside of the company, and you have a love for it. Are there challenges with going into the family business, being the fourth generation?
I've been fortunate that I haven't been challenged in terms of being a family member. I think it's really important to gain the respect of your employees and show that you're not just there to show up, you're there to do the best job you can possibly do. Mm-hmm. I read a lot of family business books before I joined, and I had my father do the same. And there's certain pinpoints that you try to not discuss when you're home, but other than that, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you got to make sure Christmas dinner doesn't turn into a business discussion.
Exactly.
Right? So now people have been listening. We've been talking a ton about restaurants and wholesale and caterers and such, but you also have the Gourmet Outlet, which is a little retail outpost, not that little, but a small retail outpost at your headquarters. I think a little over 10 years ago. I think it's been around now.
I think around 20 now.
20, you're right, I did the math wrong. A little over 20 years. Yes, in the mid-90s. I apologize. So my father is a big fan of the Gourmet Outlet. He took me there recently. You had an amazing number of samples. Do you worry you're giving so much food away?
We feel it's part of us giving back to the community to educate them on what we're doing in New Bedford and how to use our products, and it makes it part of the experience. So we have trained chefs that work in our test kitchen every single day, and they're always trying out different recipes, so we open that up to the public so they can taste it as well. Yeah,
I'm telling you, people, if you haven't been there, you've got to go on a weekend, especially. It seems like Saturday is the most samples, is what I've heard. Is that fair?
That is fair. That's when most people come. So we ramp up the samples on
a little extra on Saturdays. How is the gourmet outlet? Is it a good business as well, or is it mostly just something you just do it, but you guys don't worry much about it? Or has it become like a good part of the business?
It's always been a part of our business. It's a big part of our community business. So we put a lot of emphasis on what we do down there. We just redid it with the expansion this fall, and we're updating our test kitchen, which is right in the middle of the outlet. So you can see chefs and what they're doing and ask questions every day.
What are some of the most exotic or hard to find foods that you've encountered recently or that you've been selling of late?
We are always finding something exotic. Most recently, one of the trends that's been happening that we kind of found ahead of the time was our andouille. We're always looking for unique.
What is that?
Andouille is it's a salami spread, but it has a lot of different spices and tomato in it, and we have one of our salami producers actually make it for us.
How'd you find it?
Through our producer, he said, I have something that might be interesting. And my sister was actually looking for it because she had been hearing a lot about it as well.
Now, is that something that was recently invented or just has gotten on people's radar screens lately?
I think it's just gotten on people's radar screens. It's a traditional recipe that they make in Italy where they use different parts of the leftover salami and they blend it with spices, and it's amazing.
Sounds pretty good, yeah. Another thing interesting, microgreens. This is a big trend in restaurants, and you're actually making growing them yourself, right?
Yes, we have microgreens and baby vegetables that we've been bringing in from California for a long time, but we wanted to figure out a way to get them to chefs on Mondays because you can't get product all the time on Sundays from California. So we started growing it ourselves in our greenhouse, which is in New Bedford. It's one of the first inner city greenhouses, so we do a lot of baby vegetables there.
And you also have your own farm in Dartmouth. What was the idea with having a farm of your own? What role does that play?
We were brought the farm kind of to our attention by one of our friends, and it was going to go into development, so we saved it. And my dad has always wanted to be a farmer himself. He loves agriculture, and so we've decided to. This was about 12 years ago. We bought Jansel Valley Farm out in Dartmouth, Mass, and we do experimental growing on it. So our farmers try different seeds in New England soil. It's very rocky soil, so they can see what grows. And if we're successful with a certain item, we'll work with other local farmers to grow it in larger quantities for us. So it makes it us have a little bit of a pinpoint on local farming and what we can grow and interesting things that we can try. Only
about a minute left. You mentioned local farming, local food. There's been a lot of talk about that as an economic development thing for southern New England, Rhode Island, as well as New Bedford and Fall River. What do you think of that idea? Do you think there's room for growth there for the broader economy?
Absolutely. Local farms have a hard time in New England, obviously, with the weather because you kind of have to shut down for a few months, but it is so important to support them. Without them, we wouldn't be here. We couldn't thrive. So it's important that we support the local farms, especially in New England, because they have a tough time with the weather.
All right, Allie Wainer, Executive Vice President at Sid Wainer Sons in New Bedford. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us this week and every week on Executive Suite. Remember, you can catch all the shows on WPRI.com or iTunes as a podcast or on your radio on Sunday nights. See you back here next week. Great.